Well, starting out in the county when I first moved up here, no, not at all. I was always politically involved in communities prior to moving up to Orange County. So I just continued with, my activism and definitely took another turn moving up to Orange County. I didn't find initially as much activism as I would have liked. And so that in itself was a journey. And when you have like-minded people, uh, you develop the relationships, and the like-minded people develop more relationships that you tend to meet more people that want to move forward in a positive manner. Absolutely. So that's all that happened. I started, being more aware of issues in the county, and after being more aware of issues in the county, decided what can I do within the county, either run for office or get people to run for office, or people to speak up about issues that concern them within the county. And that's really what took me on my journey to be more involved.
Yeah, and it's certainly snowballed.
Yes, that it does. It has a tendency. You manage to get yourself involved in all these little outlets, and then you say, okay, I'm like here and there, and sometimes you got to bring. I call them tentacles, like an octopus, because a woman virtually is. She could multitask better than anyone I know. Give it to a woman, and they know how to multitask. So you send out all these tentacles, yourself. I'm talking about an individual, and those tentacles could work with, family, health, education, work, home care, and cooking, so to speak. So imagine we do this every day. You take care of the kids, you take care of their health and their homework, and then you have to feed them and clothe them, and and then work. Guess what? It's an octopus with all those tentacles going all over the place.
For me too, it's like whenever I don't know something, which is quite often, I know my first thought is Vanessa will know. I'll ask Vanessa.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to say that right now. No, it's not true. Because if I don't know something, I look it up, and that's what I'm actually good at. But for the most part, basic stuff, who doesn't know basic stuff? But yeah, and I tend to, and I'm like that. And even with my work, I tell my staff, you cannot give out information if you don't know. But if you know something or you're not sure of it, say, I'll get back to you. That's the easiest thing to do, to tell a person, I'll get back to you because I'm not sure.
A lot of people are afraid to say that. Mm-hmm. The other thing that's been very inspiring for me is, I think I've been so concerned about your health. You went through this whole thing. And I feel like I'm the one who's always saying, Vanessa, you can't do that. You should not be going door to door. You can't do that.
I know.
I'm sure a lot of people tell you that. But
yeah. Some people do make an issue of that, and I have to tell them, I know. Okay, I'm good.
Well, it's scary. And sometimes I think, here I am sitting on my ass, and Vanessa, who should be home alone hiding out from the crowd, is the one knocking on doors.
I know.
And I don't know where you get the strength.
In terms of helping out our candidates on a political level, it is something that I think is a necessary event to do for a candidate, even if the candidate's you or a person that you're supporting wholeheartedly. This is our means of communicating to people and letting them know how important it is to get out there and vote. And you see that all over, America, how they're trying to stop people from voting, which is unconscionable, but it's out there. And even that pisses me so much off because, being an African-American woman too, we had women fight to vote.
I know.
We had people literally lose their lives to vote. And you can't tell me this is not important or it doesn't affect me. It affects us all. And for them to not understand that whole process, really, a lot of people don't even understand the whole process. How do you get from running for an office to being, put on the ballot with the Board of Elections, and then voting for that person? That whole process is like foreign to a lot of people. Civics is not even teaching that in school. And this should be taught in school, because here you knock on somebody's door and they're like, what is that all about? I'm like, hey, hi, I have a candidate running for, and it might be your local town council seat, and yes, they will represent you. but this is, and they are just so foreign to the whole concept of signing to get them on a ballot and then potentially vote for them in November. It's like they never heard of this. And this is a process that's been going on for years. So, and I'm going to keep up with the process. And I know my health is definitely one that I have to watch out for, because being a kidney transplant, I am more susceptible to, getting sick as a result of my immune system being suppressed. So, and I really appreciate all the concern, especially from you, because you're always telling me, watch out.
But, like when we had the last county meeting and we were having the whole discussion about whether you should be knocking on doors or not. And
Right.
You're there, I'll go knock on doors. No. You are the last person in the world that's going to knock on doors.
I know.
Like I was thinking today, okay, I'm going to talk to Vanessa. Like, how do I even know Vanessa? And it was like, because I got involved in OCDW when you were out of OCDW, but you were like this permanent presence, even though you weren't in it. And it was just like, you were always there. Whenever we needed somebody to be there, you were there. So it was tough.
Yeah. OCDW has it is still a great organization that was developed with me and a couple of other ladies, and to bring recognition for women running in Orange County. So that's what that's all about. And it was really one of my favorite opportunities to work and try to get women elected and or support them. And we did really good, because we had Sandra Sortino, who is now the Supreme Court Justice, retired. We had Carla Weiss, Beth Cohen. And these are women that were elected and in office as judges in Orange County, and then to Supreme Court Justice. So that's a great, legacy that we put out there and help the candidacy along with others. But those are the women. Now we had some legislative women that also we helped put onto office and even run for, the county officials. So I'm going to say that's a good organization. Definitely has changed its dynamics, but it was always a good organization. I'm so glad I was part of it.
Well, me too, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have known you.
Thanks.
That's certainly worthwhile. Vanessa, we're all in the hunt for young Dems, young Dems and Dems of color. This is certainly, I think you'll agree, the year of the African American.
Yes.
And we were watching it. It was really funny because, like all of us, I watch a lot of MSNBC. And suddenly the weekend shows are all about African Americans. There's like no white people on TV anymore.
Well, I
always wonder.
There's a lot of African Americans on this, so it's a good thing.
Norman, my Black husband, said to me the other day, "Aren't there any white people on here anymore?"
Something's a must here. What's going on?
That's so funny. So I wondered how that looked to you. Because I know you watch those shows too.
Oh, absolutely. MSNBC is one of my favorites. And I have to say, it's not the African Americans that are my favorites. Rachel Maddow is my best. And Lawrence O'Donnell. And as a result of Lawrence O'Donnell's In Kind, I have been a contributor to In Kind for Deaths myself, to go to Africa and give these deaths to children. And that's all they want. It was something, instead of doing their work on the floor, they'll have a desk to do work on. So those are my favorites. And the third one I would say would be Joy Reid. But Joy Reid would come on Saturday and Sunday. Now she's got her primetime 7 o'clock, which is good. But I have to be honest, I liked her on Saturday and Sunday better.
Yeah, I think I did too.
Yeah, so now the dynamics is changing with the program. You can see that they do have a lot of African-American commentaries coming on and changing. And I think it's the awareness of people watching the programs as well, and them being so effective with what has been going on for the last 4 years. And, all of those issues in terms of Black Lives Matter being the subject like 24/7 in the last 4 years as well. Black Lives Matter came out in 2013, with Trayvon Martin.
Right.
The three women who struggled to make it an issue of Black Lives Matter with Trayvon Martin. That was in 2013 that he was killed by George Zimmerman, and foolishly let off as some stupid law of stand your grounds, if you recall. Yeah. Stand your grounds. Nobody even knew about this law.
Oh, people in Florida knew about it.
Oh, yes. I got to be honest. So I don't even think Floridians knew about the law, but it protected Zimmerman. The legislators had put that on the books, I believe, back in 2009. So it's a new one. Right. But when we came to find out, when they did like, okay, let's go a United statewide and see who's got this law, that's surprising. Because
those are ALEC laws. Those are all the legislative council.
Exactly. So we have lots of those silly laws, stand your ground, and it protects you to literally attack somebody because you're standing your ground. But, that's a whole nother issue.
And while they're running away from you, you get to stand your ground.
Exactly. So it's so sickening and so disheartening that they project this scenario to protect themselves from causing harm to predominantly African Americans. Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
also, I think that the Trayvon Martin, like the original Black Lives Matter, was activists.
Yes, three women.
Now it's everybody.
Absolutely. It was three women.
That's a big change.
Yeah. It is everybody utilizing the Black Lives Matter as a result of the continuation. Right. And you could see, especially the one that really hit home was the two ones that have been so really prominent. Well, there's a couple of them, but these are the real prominent ones. An African-American woman sleeping in her bed. She's dead. George Floyd said he couldn't breathe, said, just stop and prayed for his mother. And this is a police officer on an unarmed man in the roadway on his neck for more than 10 minutes. So what's the justification for that?
I think there's no justification thing really shocked the nation.
Exactly, especially the recordings when people are saying, get off of him, he can't breathe. So you had the audience even coming into it. And this man who is supposed to, now this is another thing I'm going to, talk about too. He's on him for what? He doesn't even know why he's on top of this man. It's an allegation, but he's there killing him. So this is the other thing too. When I look at the sadness of these things, and I can just cry for the family that loses their husband, their brother, their, all of that trickles down. It's just a trickle down. And then the heartfeltness of individuals that see that too and don't understand why. There's no reason as to why he was still on that man's neck. And that is never going to be satisfied with anybody because he hasn't spoken. There's no justification for it. No. And lo and behold, you have this whole step up now of white officers being just how would you put, what would be the word? That's unfeeling, I don't know. What is it that allows them to think it's okay to do that?
No, I don't know.
I don't know either. It's unconscionable.
It's really
it's just bad. Yeah. So, yeah. So all of that has just pushed Black Lives Matter, to the forefront with all of those activities. The African-American girl sleeping in her. And I mean, she had a life and a career. Look at that. Look at that. EMS worker, saving lives, it was awful. It's awful. It's just awful. It's so many of them like that, though. She's not alone, but that one brought a lot of attention because once it was done, again, the lie, the cover up, they didn't know. They don't know who did it. They blamed it on the boyfriend. Maybe he shot, he had no gun. And it's just this repetition of a falsehood too, which is crazy. I don't know. But I'm so happy that people are stepping up. They're running for office and they are, being part of our society and pushing legislation to stop these inequalities in America, especially with the police department.
Yeah, and I think the insurrection on January 6th, I think if that had happened a year ago, the first thing on everybody, the first thing was if those had been Black Lives Matter protests,
oh, absolutely,
they would not be in that building threatening people.
And you can see the identity from, this was June 6th, we had a Black Lives Matter in Washington, D.C., June 6th. From June 6th to January 6th, look at the difference and look how they were treated versus we had over 400 arrests, Black Lives Matter on June 6th, over 400 arrests that they were detained, they were taken by paddy wagons, and they were incarcerated. We had 0 arrests on June the 6th, 0. They entered, they destroyed property. They had no permit to even march. The permit they had was just to be there for a rally. So look at the difference in the treatment. And it's another thing. So when you hear this, you just become inflamed from the treatment, how one is treated, and then to see what they did and how they showed themselves. It's just, that this is America, and this is what people of any color has to deal with, because that's just not right.
That's what that one cop who was just crying, he said, I've been called the N-word 15 times today. Isn't this America?
Right, exactly. A police officer defending the Capitol. What is going on? So they've had, I think America in general has a good eye-opening, and I'm happy to see that when they did have the impeachment for the president this second time, how the Republicans, and they were all white men, not looking at our Constitution and our democracy. That's shame on you. You should not be elected ever again in life. If you're not going to uphold our Constitution and the democracy of America, you don't need to be in office. No one needs to be in office. But again, visually people don't see, nor do they hear the reality of life. And when they put these type of people into office, they don't. I have no idea why they do it, but it's a whole other story. I don't want to go off.
I'm still trying to figure out how 74 million people voted for. I don't understand how 74 people would vote for him. Never mind 74 million.
I say the same. Who are these people, and what the hell are they? But they're out there. They are out there, and they're seriously misled because they made him, and this is a whole vision of when Kelly said alternate facts. That's what those 74 million people were given the last 4 years, alternate facts. So they thought, even when they went on Washington, they were listening to their president. So they have had alternate facts for 4.5 years well, actually longer, because Trump's always had alternate facts anyway.
Anyway, if we could just get back something.
Sure, I'm sorry.
Just say something about young people, trying to
young Democrats,
young people involved.
Yeah, okay. So I'm super excited about that. I'm always trying to get the young people involved. And I got a couple of young Dems, even on my committee. And there's a young Dem running in the city of Newburgh, Giselle, and she's on the city of Newburgh Democratic Committee. And I like when they work, and we have a dynamic woman who's also working on Biden's campaign. So you know what? We got to grab them. And my action is, when we do have a young Dem, give them some work. So. Yeah. And as you give them work, let them know that this is work that is useful and that is necessary, because that is what I see in some of the equations of getting young Dems involved. You got to give them work that is useful and is necessary. So if I have a young Dem that is good with optics on the computer, graphics, getting stuff together, listen, I want you to do this. I had a girl, and she's on our committee too. She developed, I don't know if you saw, a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. That was from her, okay? So what it is the TNDC, it's a round circle, and the fist is in the center, right? And then in the fist is the TNDC logo. Mm. So we had a Black Lives Matter march. My young Dem designed that. We sent it off to print, and everybody during the Black Lives Matter march had our t-shirts on. And this is what I'm talking about. I was so proud that she did it. And then to see us all wearing it, you know what I'm saying? So There's where you push the young Dems to be active and to do for you. You can't not, push them and show them that your product is worthy. You being involved is worthy. So that's an important thing that I try to show them and tell them.
Okay, this is great. I could do this forever, but our time is getting close. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Jesus. Okay. So definitely getting young people involved in our Democratic Party, young people to run. And I'm also going to switch that to women. Like I said, women are the foundation of our Democratic Party. They really are. And when we can grab those women and they have the time to put in to run for office, that's a wonderful thing. And that's another avenue we have to look at, because sometimes the young are not quite ready. They're in college, they're still learning, but a lot of the women are transitioning from children, grown. They have the time, and they also have the vision of what is needed in our society and what direction should we work at. If it be, getting better aid to school, kids after school, better traffic signs, all these things, because they have been out there in their own communities that they see this and it's like, you know what? How do I do this? And we tell them, you need to run for office because you've got some brilliant ideas. So let's not forget the women also. We definitely want the young, but we definitely want women to be more involved in the whole backdrop of getting involved politically. And if they don't run, they can help a candidate run,
Right.
like you.
Vanessa, this has been great. I want to thank you.
No problem. Thank you.